Hey everyone, it's been 2 weeks since I planted this raised garden. So I'm going to go in and kind of take you through and show you all the stuff that's coming up, how the tomatoes and the peppers and the lettuce are doing, and just all the seeds that are popping up from the worm castings that I put in there. So these tomato plants are really coming along. They've at least tripled in size, maybe even more than that. They're getting pretty healthy. The only thing I am doing on these tomato plants is anytime I see any blossoms here, I just pluck them off right now because I don't want it trying to produce tomatoes right now. I want everything to go into basically making the plant real strong. What's interesting is all of the plants, the seedlings that are popping up everywhere in this bed. The big majority of these are definitely tomatoes. Tomato seeds are notorious for popping up in worm castings, especially if you're using, of course, tomatoes to feed your worms. I do have quite a few, I think they're cucumbers, more than likely, because we go through a lot of cucumbers. And you can see them here along with the lettuce. The castings I put in here, 3 cucumbers popped up here. Now this area is a corner where I put the yellow melons, and they haven't popped up yet. I'm kind of surprised. But in the other corners, you see 3 of the squash popped up there, and 3 over in that corner. And again, a couple in this corner are just starting to pop up now. These are the cantaloupe. The lettuce is doing wonderful. It's really thriving in these. Now the basil that I have in the corners, what I'm going to do is go through here. I think there's like, this particular one, there's 3 plants. So I'm actually, those 3 are doing good. I'm going to leave 3 there. Some of the others have like 5, and I'm going to go ahead and pull a couple of those out. And I'm going to go through and weed all these squash and stuff out of here. The tomatoes, they're real simple. All you have to do is just turn them over or pull them out. So I'm actually weeding tomatoes, unfortunately. But now on these basils, there's a whole bunch of them in here. So I'm going to go ahead and snip down and basically pull out, if I can get this down to like 3, maybe even 2. There's 1, 2. So that left the 3 strongest plants. I'll leave the 3 for right now. And these squash that came up are doing really well. The lettuce. I mean, I'll be able to pick some of this here in a couple days, probably, or definitely by next week. I could probably do it now, some of them. And then the different variety here. The peppers haven't done much yet, but it's been fairly, we've had a couple cold spells, and they really like the heat, but it's supposed to be hot and warm this week. So, and it's probably up almost 70 today, so I think these things are all of a sudden going to take off here pretty soon. So 2 weeks into the raised garden here, and it's looking pretty good. Tomatoes are doing real good, peppers look good and healthy, and the lettuce is definitely thriving. So are, unfortunately, all the tomato seeds and cucumber seeds that were in the castings. They're all coming up. So I'm going to do a quick weeding on those and eliminate most of them unless one of them happens to be right where I want it. I kind of started preparing this other bed, but I don't have enough soil right now without going and buying a bunch. So I stuck a couple blocks across the middle and made this bed actually a little bit smaller. So I'm going to add some worm castings to that either this weekend or next weekend and go ahead and plant this up. I wanted to add a quick update on these little 2.5 gallon buckets that I have buried. So 5 gallon buckets cut in half. Actually, I'm kind of surprised. It's actually doing really well. I did throw a couple peppers. I planted some seeds in there and they haven't popped up yet. But I went ahead and stuck a couple peppers in each one, or a pepper in each one. And I also did one other thing just out of curiosity. I put some small cut pipes on the back and added some basil and a tomato in one. But these buckets are staying very moist. You can see how dry the material is around the buckets. But each of the buckets, if I go down inside of it here just a little bit, it's really moist. So, you know, it's definitely holding the moisture in there. So I'm starting to have hope that this might actually work pretty good. One thing I need to work on are these stupid ants. You can see them here right next to this bucket. They got a hole right there. Then they're coming out of the wall. Let's see. Right there. So I'm going to have to put something else here to try and take care of them. Ants, I fight with ants all the time. That's the one thing I constantly battle every year. But overall, I'm pretty happy. I have hope that this actually might work pretty good. We'll see. I haven't got around to putting any more buckets in there. I just haven't had time. But so far, I'm going to experiment with the 4 I have here and then those 2 little pipes and see how it goes. What I may do is put a couple more pipes or smaller containers in the back and put some peas in it, climbing peas. Then they can climb up this wall as well. One more thing that I did, I went ahead and grabbed a couple, I think there's like 8-gallon buckets. And I went ahead and I'm going to try the potato thing in the bucket and just see how it works. So I put about 4 starters on the bottom of this thing, probably up about 4 inches from the bottom. And I covered it up with about 9 inches of soil. And you can see now the potatoes have completely popped through, so I'm going to add some more soil on top of that one. This one, the starters are just starting to pop through right now, so I'm going to give it probably a week until they've really popped up pretty good, and then I'm going to go ahead and fill it up. And eventually I'm going to fill these things all the way up to the brim here, and I'll see if I can keep them moist all summer. And we'll see how this works better than my worm tower or my potato tower failure. So that's it. That's a quick update on the raised garden. The raised garden I haven't planted yet, and the 2.5-gallon buckets that I have buried in the ground. So far everything seems to be going pretty good. So I'll try and update you either next week or the following, probably in a couple weeks. See how everything looks by then. By then I'll have the other planter planted, hopefully. So that's all for this week. This is Tom from VermiBag. Till next time, ciao.